So 5 tips to make the most of your migration to engaging networks. We'll start with introductions. Oh my gosh, Austin updated it. Oh, I didn't even ask for that. That's a surprise. Well, my name is Thelma Andre. I am the production and design director at Fresh Eyes Digital. Thank you so much. I've been there for a little over 2 years. My role focuses on the creative and visual direction part of our campaign work that we do across our clients all across North America. If I'm lucky, I also get the opportunity to do the graphic visuals that go into all of our campaigns, so social media, email, website, miscellaneous web projects, and further still, some of our clients also need that full service support, so I also help build and launch those fundraising campaigns for their email, whatever client that they're on, landing pages, and again, miscellaneous projects. This is my second ENCC, first time on the stage, really excited to be here. Former reigning champion of the ENCC Jeopardy, Jeff, I got you. We're gonna have to duke it out next year. But yeah, that's me. If I haven't had a chance to meet you yet, definitely come say hi, pretty friendly. And the pink helps stand out, so next.
Hi, I don't know how microphones work. There we go. Hi, my name is Alana Schreiber. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a data analytics coordinator here at Fresh Eyes Digital, based right outside Chicago, Illinois. I've been here for about 2 years. My primary work here is focused on reporting, so making sure that our clients have regular weekly, monthly, quarterly, etc. reporting to help drive their campaigns. But my secondary work is always in engaging networks, which just truly is my love, both implementing pages and emails and working with our clients to figure out how they can utilize engaging networks' multitude of unique tools to figure out what actually works best for them and sets them up for success. Jana?
All right. Hi, I'm Jana Littleton. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. I work for the American Technion Society. I've worked there for about 5 years. It's coming up on 5 years, which is a little crazy. And I've had a couple of different titles there. I was the Senior Director of Data and Analytics. I was the Chief Advancement Officer, and now I'm Project Lead of Analytics and Strategy, which just sounds great. And it means 2 great things. One great thing is I don't manage anybody anymore, which if you're feeling stressed out, I recommend not managing people. Unless you've got a great team, then keep doing it. Keep doing it. I see some looks. And I get to work with what I've been doing for 20 years, which is data, systems, process, and people, and using all of that to make better decisions and to make things easier. So
A little bit of ATS.
Oh, ATS. How many people know what the ATS, the American Technion Society, is, or what the Technion is, and that are not on our payroll currently? Yeah, Kat, you're on our. Yeah. All right, so this sounds about right. We have so the Technion is a university. It's the oldest university. It's located in Haifa, Israel, in the north of Israel, and it will be celebrating its 100-year centennial anniversary next year in 2024. So the American Technion Society and their societies all around the world fundraise for this university. It's a STEM university with an associated hospital, a teaching hospital. So it's all about science, math, and advancement. So we raise money in the U.S. from about 4,300 donors, but our goal is to raise about 100 million every year. So we are a major gift fundraising organization. And to send money over to the university to support all of the activities, a lot of capital improvements, student and faculty support, all of the things that come along with supporting a university.
And we over here, we're Fresh Eyes Digital. So we are a digital fundraising and marketing firm that we work with nonprofits on all areas of your strategic growth in the digital realm, both through campaigns and content, acquisition, advertising, and of course data and reporting. Our goal is to be your all-in-one strategic shop so that we're able to focus on the strategy in collaboration with you, and we allow nonprofits to focus on what matters most, which is fulfilling their mission.
And those are our co-founders who could not be here. But definitely, if you ever see them around, they're really friendly and have a whole wealth of knowledge about nonprofit fundraising. So give them a shout. Background.
All right, background. Why did we switch? Sorry, I've been traveling for a couple of days, so that's good. So I'm a little tired. We at ATS, we were on Luminate Online for about 10 years, and I think we could probably create a drinking game or a bingo game about why you should move on from Luminate and why it's not very helpful. We are a major gift fundraising shop, but especially over the past 4 or 5 years, we started working with Fresh Eyes Digital in July of 2021. We want to build our annual donor program, build our donor base, and do all of those things. And Luminate was not the tool to help us do those things and to advance our program. The other big thing is that, we are celebrating the university centennial next year. So our marketing budget has increased dramatically. Our programs and events, plans and activities have increased dramatically. And having a system in place where you can have a nice donation form, something that looks like it was built this century, create event registration pages very easily, tracking all of those things, because next year, my CEO is going to ask me, how did that $1 million marketing budget, go? And if I don't know, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So that was one big thing, is just, it wasn't very user-friendly. We have big plans this next year. We're going to be spending a lot of money promoting the Technion, promoting the American Technion Society. And then the last thing is, our email marketing manager was spending all of her time building emails. We sent 540 emails in 2022, and you could say, well, that's a terrible number of emails to send, and that's probably true. We can change that, but it just also probably isn't very fulfilling as a digital marketing manager to just sit there and build emails for 19 major gift officers all day. And you want that person to think about how to make things better and how to try new things and to come to places like this and think about new ideas. So we needed something that was just better from a staff perspective and a role perspective within our organization.
Yeah, thanks for setting the stage there. See if this next slide works. Does not work. I was hoping that there would be an interactive poll here, but I think we could just do like a show of hands. How many people in the room have done a migration recently, in their past? A lot of hands. Now, are there grimacing faces? People, anybody love it? Because if you love it, yeah.
Alana's the only
best
person
friends.
that loves it.
That's what I predicted. Oh, there's one in the corner. You're about to become best friends forever. But yeah, just sort of getting a sense of where people are at. I was kind of worried that people would already all be on Engaging Networks, but from all my conversations, it sounds like some people are week one, World Wildlife Fund, right? Week one in Engaging Networks are in the process or considering it, and certainly online audiences, I'm sure, hello, are also maybe considering moving on to the platform. So, Alana, Solution Grid.
Absolutely. So we went through a lot of the migration process that Oceana talked about so beautifully. I said your org name right.
Yes, we all say it differently.
I just wanted to make sure. So really our goal here was in working with ATS to make sure that we were able to go through all of those stakeholder requirements, go through a different list of systems and say, okay, here are the 20 requirements that we have. Of these requirements, here are the top 5. In every single demo and every single RFP, how are we meeting those in each of those systems? And then at the very end, you see our nice little final slide up there that says, this is actually how all of these different organizations are doing. And we ended up picking Engaging Networks because it was what worked best for ATS.
Yeah, there's a lot of evaluation, a lot of meetings. But man, it's pretty fun.
Yes, so for the migration, we started working with Fresh Eyes in 2021 to give us that extra bandwidth. The marketing communications team was about 5 people. The whole organization is about 60 people. So we brought them in 2021, working in Luminate just to think about. We needed that extra brain power to think about what should we be doing because we were so tied up in the day-to-day just getting the things done that we brought them in to think about how to improve our online fundraising and engagement strategy. So when we realized that we had to, now was the time to change system, it made the most sense to keep engaging them in that system change. In the vendor selection, you saw the assessment grid, which was really helpful because they can ask you those questions and really challenge you on what is important to you. And there's not going to be a perfect system out there, but you can think about what are your priorities and really challenge you, as well as get the recommendations from all of the clients that you work with about pros and cons between different things. And then to help us with the migration process, and it helps that I like them. I'm still talking to them. I guess we're here, so that's good.
Yeah.
And to not have to start over and say, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is what's important to us. You've already invested a lot of that time in that partnership. So, they helped us. They knew where we were and where we wanted to go. And Luminate stopped us from going certain places. So to have that person who kind of understands, all of the different aspects of what you want to do and can provide technical support was really helpful.
So next are our actual tips. So what are the 5 tips that we learned in this process? Things that we can share with all of y'all. We are fresh off of this thing. We're a couple of weeks in now, right? Of actually actively using the
1
product.
week, not a couple of weeks.
Oh. It feels a little longer to me. But yeah, so hopefully these tips will help you maximize your email program's potential, save you time, save you headaches, heartaches, I don't know, tears maybe, a lot less HTML code required. So our number one tip is to start with customizing your templates. I think that the base out-of-the-box templates that are coming from Engaging Networks are fantastic, easy to use, customizable to make it feel like it's coming from your brand. Gifts working, yes. So this sort of shows the evolution of where we started with the out-of-the-box marketing tools template, sort of making it ATS friendly, and then further still having discussed like with their creative director, with their marketing team, like what is it that they really would like to have the ability to do, and just build those content blocks that they can, make it feel like it's not only coming from, that it's coming from their brand, that it fits the rest of their beautiful website, the rest of their digital products. It now kind of feels more unified. My next slide just shows an example of where they started with their landing pages, and then switching into the sort of, again, this evolution of like, here's what it is. Again, like Jana said, it's, coming from 2023. So that is my initial thing. So there's fantastic partners, accredited partners like Fresh Eyes, and many other people in this lobby room that can help you customize your templates and get them to look exactly like you like. At least relatively, like it's still email, and we still live in a world where like we're all terrorized by Outlook, but we're getting there. So next up.
Not to butt in on our actual panel with a question for you, but I have a question for you.
For me, yes.
For you. So of these templates, I'm going to be honest, I am still in awe of them because I get very excited about them every time I see them. What is kind of something that you've done in the template that you really like or you think has worked well?
A lot of things, but I think my favorite thing about this template, it's really small, and it's something, as someone who has built a lot of, I've been the design production person in-house at a lot of organizations. My favorite thing that I did in this case, yesterday we heard about how you add in your container blocks into your template, and that's where all your different blocks can be added in. I have a secondary container built into all of these templates, every single one above the logo, so that any email can easily be converted into like a lift note, right? A lot of us do that experience where we are taking a previously sent email and just repurposing it, giving it a little extra oomph, maybe getting people that haven't seen it already, and saving a little bit of time. So it's very easy in this template and all of their templates to just add in an additional text box above that is then, signed by whatever funder is sending it on that behalf. So it's just a quick, easy thing that I've always wanted in all the tools that I have used. So I'm gonna turn that back to you. I spent all my time on emails, but you actually did all the page development because you are a boss. Is there something about the page templates that you really are proud of? Or?
I can't believe I'm being put on the spot after putting you on the spot. We have it's on the second slide, a delineation. ATS has a really great program where you can both mail an honorary or tribute card or send an e-card. And so we had to do a lot of conditional logic to figure out how we want that redirect to work, how we want everything to expand out. And so they have the great idea of adding in these little lines before and after the tribute section, because when that expands out, it can end up being like 6, 7 fields. So it takes up a lot of space. So I feel like that visual delineation between the two areas is really helpful to understand, hey, you're now in this section, or no, you're no longer in this section.
I'm so grateful that you were able to work on these. They look great.
Well, I'm grateful for you.
Number 2,
A data mapping checklist. So this is, my area in terms of, I'm not the creative person or the design person or the coder, but I am the data person. That's where I like to spend my time. And in terms of data mapping and cleanup and migrations, I think, Oceana, you guys talked a lot about the same kinds of things, right? Start early. That is, you can never get started too early because something's going to come up. Something unexpected is going to come up. And if you can have somebody in your organization that, they don't meditate, but they do data cleanup as meditation, like that's their meditative exercise, like just find that person and make sure you have all of their time. Because you can clean up your data for the entire project. So you have to draw some lines and some boundaries about what's important. I mean, for us, having the last couple of years was the most important because that's when we really started to investing in some of these programs. But, something that happened 10, 12 years ago in Luminate, I don't particularly care about. So cleaning up, the source coding and things like that, you just have to kind of draw some lines because otherwise you'll spend all of your time there. And having, again, the expert in-house that knows, or if it's your vendor, that knows the data, the system that you're working with, and then the business context, right? Because as a person who's been in data for 20 years, I can look at a data set, but I don't know why it is the way it is unless I talk to the business people that have been using the program, have been setting the attributes, have been doing crazy things and switching around the columns. So you need not only the IT or the data person or the person who can do the manipulation, but you need the person who understands why it looks like that or why it's, how it connects to, the emails you're sending or what you're setting up in the system. So I think those are the biggest takeaways as far as, I'm sure I'm missing something. But that's okay.
Let's come back to it.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah. Our third tip.
Setting expectations. So it's really interesting. This is my first EN conference, and I missed yesterday, but I feel like there's themes in everything that I've heard, every breakout room and every session so far, and one of the big themes is setting expectations with your senior leadership, right? And that might be to get buy-in, to do the switch or to make the investment or to get the resources, and that was very easy for us. We have a very data-driven, system-driven leadership team, so it was not a problem to say we need to do this and please give me some money to do it. But the next thing was during the actual 3-month project itself, which we did over the summer when it's a little bit slower, I made it clear to everybody that this is the #1 project right now. And this needs to get done because Luminate is turning off at the end of this month in September. So there is no room for this to slip or to not get done, right? So if that means that other priorities need to shift, something else can't happen, I need senior leadership's buy-in that if there's an emergency, we need a little bit more money, we need something else to shift because this needs to get done now before Labor Day. I need the resources, and I'm telling you well ahead of time, so it's not a surprise. So I think, there's the, getting buy-in from an approval perspective, but also to make sure that you have your staff resources or maybe a little bit of extra money on the side just in case something always happens. I would love to meet the person that does a migration project where everything went smoothly and it was early and it was under budget. Like, tell me who that person is, because I've never met them. The next level is the development team, and I think we could have some drinks about our development teams because they're a lovely, loud group of folks who run their own, run events, and they have to send emails to their, supporters in their region often. So they have a lot of input onto how things should look and how they should sound and how they should be designed. So getting their buy-in, meeting with them regularly, giving them updates, getting a couple of development associates on our migration team to tell them and keep them in the loop of what's happening was really critical. And the biggest thing for me, I don't know a better way to do it other than to spend the time and to talk to them and to understand what's important to them and also tell them what to expect. No launch is 100% what you want it to be. No tool is 100% what you want it to be. But if you tell them what's going to be a little clunky or a little bit broken, and hey, that's going to be V2, V3, because things will get better over time. If you tell them before they discover it, it's still not always easy, but it's better that you tell them what to expect, especially if it's on the clunky side, rather than them discovering it and telling you. That's going to get you a lot more trust and relationship building and say, hey, I know it's an issue. We're going to work to solve it, not on go live, but this is version 1 or version 0. It's going to keep getting better because we're going to invest in it. Obviously Engaging Networks is investing in it, so we're all going to make this better. And I think the last one, we've talked a lot about this last night. It took a couple of drinks, but we got there.
Yeah.
Was expectations with your partners, and they're called partners for a reason, right? They're not the providers. I just asked for something, and they provide it, and that's it. We're all partners in this, Engaging Networks and our implementation partners and us, and we all have to work together to make choices, right, and to figure out solutions. And I know people in this room, and Kat and Angelo especially, like talking to, okay, how are you guys doing this? How are you guys doing this? I think somebody earlier talked about, having kind of a backup plan for when things don't go right. And we're all in this together, so it's all about, working together and not, well, it's on you or it's on me. No, this is really a joint effort.
It's on all of us.
It's on all of us. We're going to make bumper stickers. Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
Engage those networks,
My catchphrase. Speaking of talking, communication. It is so important, as I know we all know, to be communicating both about what those expectations are, but also what that project timeline is. Every project is going to have a timeline, and much like Jana would like to meet the person who gets everything done ahead of time, I would too. If you're out there, please let me know. It's really important when you're setting up your project to communicate with everyone, hey, this is when all of these steps, steps A, B, C, all the way to X, Y, Z, and then we get into the double A, et cetera, are going to happen. Here's how they all work together. Maybe step like W can't happen until step D happens, but step E can happen regardless of step D. So thinking about it in terms of like, how am I communicating that something is messed up? How am I communicating that something is behind? But then from there, what are we doing to work to make sure it doesn't happen in the future? What are we doing to adjust? So not just living in the, oh man, this stinks, let's move on, but actually saying, okay, this stinks, what are we gonna do to fix it? How are we going to get back on track? What does that look like? Does it mean other things are deprioritized? Does that mean that our schedule shifts and something becomes, oh, we're gonna do this later in August instead of at the end of July? Another thing is documentation, documentation, documentation. If someone gets sick, if someone gets COVID, if someone suddenly, if you're me, has to go on a road trip halfway across the country.
You didn't have to.
I did though, I did.
And I'm the one who got COVID.
We had a great summer, y'all. But if that happens, and when that happens, because things will always happen, who's there afterwards? And more importantly, for who's there, do they have the tools that they need to succeed? Because if everything lives in your brain, that's great that everything lives somewhere, but is somebody else able to access that if you don't have service? So that's just like such a crucial part of communication, and we love documentation. I love documentation. That's really all I have to say. This is my love letter to documentation.
They're beautiful, beautiful documents. And I'm very grateful for them because I use them a lot. Our last tip, and probably I got a lot of visual examples of this, so it's a big one. It's to leverage the new features and upgrades that that Engaging Networks has, like marketing tools. I think had ATS maybe migrated 6 months earlier, we maybe wouldn't have pushed them to go into marketing tools because we could have focused on just bringing them into the email classic, but because of the timing, it felt right. Like we could do it into Classic Builder. We could just take those templates from Illuminate, which I wasn't sure if we were gonna say what the platform was, but I think it's pretty clear. Illuminate, bring them into there, save myself a lot of time, a lot of heartache, maybe a couple of tears. It's okay, but ultimately, it's one of the reasons that they ended up choosing this tool. To give them that flexibility, to give them something new in advance. And I also know that as more people are using marketing tools, it's going to continue to advance and expand. And I think as a community, we'll make the product even better. So right now, I know that ATS is using the marketing tools. They're using the obviously the pages, donation pages. They're also using the events module, events pages, and also like visual e-cards. And right now they're not maybe actively using the SMS functionality. They're not using like the P2P functionality. Should they want to go in that direction in the future, it's all built in. Rather than having multiple tools running, it's just all possible to do that. So some examples of the new marketing tools and why we're so excited about using it. Definitely is, an upfront investment of time to set up the various templates to make them do what we need them to do. But once that's all complete, it does provide an easy drag and drop interface for users who maybe aren't comfortable looking at HTML. It frees up Chandler, who's their digital engagement manager, to trust that other people can also implement emails. Maybe so one of the things that they do a lot of is like newsletters. But that are then segmented by region, and then they're sent by the various regional fundraisers. So there's like a base newsletter that is then, using that handy little if note, can then be signed and sent to the various segments. And it can be done just not out of the main office, not having to be touched every single time by Chandler, or at the very least, it's just sped up the process. And this example here, what I'm showing is, it is looping? Yes. One of my favorite things is that it does give you that functionality, sort of similar to like a MailChimp with that drag and drop function, but it allows us to sort of lock in what are like the branded elements that we don't want to change, which I know makes their creative director really happy. That even though I wanted to give them all the color options for their buttons, I know that in their brand guidelines, they actually only use 2. It's a gold button, it's a green button. Gold if it's like fundraising related, green if it's everything else. And that's their brand guidelines. So what's really nice is that you can actually customize all of the labels that are in here. So if I wanted to change that, right now it just says change your background color, but if I wanted to maybe in the future just like make it even simpler than that, depending on who's gonna end up using the product, it could just be, what type of button is this? Is this a fundraising email, yes or no, or something like that? And those answers in that dropdown can just switch and it'll still give you that same effect because it's plugging in that color. And the other thing that I'm really happy about, I'm really proud of them because they've already gone ahead and started making their own content blocks without my help. We set up signature blocks, right? Pretty default, it's 2 images, some text, and they can then swap in the required images, the required text, but they've actually gone ahead and just built a whole little folder, a little library of all of their signers that are pre-built. So even in the moment, that's only saving a little bit of time, maybe like a minute or two per email. But I mean, over the span of time, it is just like incremental savings. And it's just any other times that they have things that are going to be repeating, it's sort of pre-built into their content library. So one of the things that they also have is like a call to action. It's like a colored blue box. I think you'll see an example in a sec. And that's just like a call to action, a call to fundraising that they do with like their mission statement at the end of most of their emails. And since that's a recurring thing, it's pre-built, so it's just time saving. And what's great also is that it's just going to be continual expansion. Expandable and ready for continual expansion feels like the exact same thing, saying that twice. But they have a Centennial. Just this morning, I saw that they were already starting to build some additional changes, some additional blocks that would be ready for that. I think there's like a bronze color being incorporated into their guidelines.
Bronze.
Yeah, very fancy.
And there's a dark blue. I saw a new dark blue.
Dark blue.
That's true. You're right.
It was easier to change our color than to get the university to change their color.
Well, we're excited for you.
I'm excited too.
So yeah, they're all built on the same base. So that content library of different types of blocks are going to continue to be able to grow or to change and evolve, and it's all going to still be functional depending on whatever email that they want to use. So what I have here is sort of an example of the before and after of the user interface. On that side is our previous Luminate. I'm sure some of you are very familiar, maybe a little upset, offended, looking at what it's like to have to
That's not
build
a trigger for
Luminate.
anybody.
Sorry, I should have given a trigger warning.
Yeah, you should have.
My bad. But yeah, I haven't built in it since I was in my 20s, but it's my understanding that the WYSIWYG
Aren't you
builder-
still in your 20s?
Thank you. 33. But it's my understanding that the WYSIWYG editor in there is just, I mean, you can, but you shouldn't. And so that required that Chandler to only have to use HTML, and you had to push the preview to actually see what it looked like, to see any edits. And as you can see, still looks like that, yeah. And then, as you can see, there's just no variation here. They were kind of tied to one image size, one text block, and then that center button, and that was about it. If they wanted to do more, sure, they could, but it did require someone who was comfortable jumping into that code, and there just wasn't a lot of storytelling capabilities here, and that's something that we had directly from their marketing person. Like, they wanted to be able to tell their story a little bit better. So on the right side is an actual newsletter that they sent out, pre-built with the various types of blocks that we've created for them. As you can see, there's just a lot of variety. There's that recurring call to action button at the very end. We gave them the options for just like different color backgrounds. It's all sort of built around basic functions, but I've given them additional options for, yeah, those button colors, the background colors, in that case, you see how it's all one block? We definitely gave them like picture, text, button, but also because that's a recurring content block that we know they're gonna have to do every time, rather than have to have them use each of those every time that they were building it, that's just one, because I know that they're gonna reuse it over and over. And even their button that gives them the option to switch between left or center alignment, and all you gotta do is toggle between all your various options. Yeah, much more pleasant experience. And I think I have a quote from Chandler. Thank you, Jana. She says, since moving on to EN, we have cut our email build time nearly in half, and it's just so nice to use the drag and drop editor to create crisp and clean emails. So, I don't know, it warms my heart to see them just not even having to use it. I don't build for them. I'm not helping them produce their emails, so I've handed this off to them. They're already evolving with it, and it's month 1, so I'm excited for the
It's
future.
week 1.
Week 1.
Oh, sorry, week 2.
Yeah. So here is a before and after of like the current donation form and their previous one. Visceral reaction. Yeah, and there wasn't much more customization. They could swap out the text, and that was really it, right? And I don't have a scroll function here. This is a static image, but thank you. And they've done so much more with it too. It allows them to swap in the photos. This is just a donation example. I think their event pages are even more
I
beautiful.
mean, if you like it, you can donate. It's live right now.
You could test out the whole experience. ATS.org.
/donate.
Jana, Alana, do you have anything you want to share about like just being able to have this new type of donation form in your toolbox?
I mean, like I said, I mean, the look and feel is just revolutionary, and that was it's just been something that's been on our plate for a long time, and we did try to build a new multi-step, modern-looking donation form in Luminate, and Fed and ourselves spent a lot of time and resources doing it, and at the end, we had to we couldn't launch it because there was an issue with PayPal and the way it was kind of functioning, and we had to kill it. So, I mean, the fact that, we have this still one long form, we want to test a multi-step donation form probably after the calendar year end season. But it's just, night and day in terms of the look and feel. And how can you say that you're fundraising for a STEM university and your donation form looks like that? That's just, that doesn't seem right. So this is, a much, much better.
I think on my end, a good chunk of blood, sweat, and tears went into making it look like that, but I'm really proud of how it looks, and I think that it really does go forward to advancing your mission and making sure that when people donate, they're coming onto this beautiful donate page and they're able to see, hey, I'm supporting a STEM university that has a 2023 donate page.
Yes. Yeah, you should be very proud. I think you did an amazing job. Yay, us. Here is it also moves, visual example of one of their event pages. And this is just, again, I didn't make this one, they did. And now, because they are able to take our base foundation and then just duplicate that and make it, again, feel on brand. It all feels sort of like it's part of the same family, and it matches and melds with the rest of their digital products. And it's just very exciting. Is it my understanding that how many events type invitation tools were they using and going rogue?
I mean, we use Cvent for board meetings and multi-day meetings and missions. So we'll continue to use Cvent for very complex things. But, Google Forms, Microsoft Forms, send me an email, Luminate, terrible looking Luminate forms, they were just all over the place. So now hopefully, and then if it was paid, we couldn't do setting up, most of our events are free, but if we wanted to do a ticketed event in Luminate, then it was oh my God, who knows how to do that from 2 years ago, the last time we did it. So hopefully it's a one-stop shop for any event that's just kind of a singular one-day event, and with different paid or free or discount code ticket types, and then all of the data is in one place, and it all goes into Razor's Edge, because that is the system of record for all of the things, including event attendance, and then it'd be much easier for us to collect the data and push it into Razor's Edge after it's done. So.
Yeah, and this is a function that we actually hadn't used with our events. I don't know. I don't think it's a very popular one, but it is one of the many tools in the toolkit for engaging networks, which was really cool to be able to give it a swing. Go. Yeah. This should also move. Okay. It is just an example of the V-card, or virtual e-cards that we have implemented for them, which before they didn't have such a nice functionality, but
yeah, I mean, the functionality was we would send our development associate an email and said, this person made an e-card or a mail card tribute. Can you download an e-card and type in their message and send it to them? So that maybe it took, somebody 5 minutes to do that. We do get a good amount of tribute gifts, tribute message for, all sorts of reasons. So it is, I think I want to say 15 or 16% of our online donations have some sort of tribute message in there, so it's not very small. But now they don't have to do that. I mean, they still have to mail a physical card when somebody requests it, but it's one less thing for that team to do, because they do so many things.
Again, thanks, Alana. Way to go. So I think that's the end of our example. So I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to ask us some questions, but I have some more questions for us, or I'm moderating our own little panel here. Referring? Oh, yeah. Are there questions already?
Yeah, there are some. All right, so first of all, if you could do this all differently, what would you do? Anything?
Yes.
100%. I can go.
Come back to me.
Okay. Yeah?
Go ahead.
Okay. For me, I think it was my first time. I mean, it's the first time for a lot of people using marketing tools, so it's a little intimidating, a little scary. I would have asked for help a little bit sooner. I definitely reached out to EN Support. It was very, being able to get support from them, but also the agency partners. There's a really cool Slack channel. I think in this room, Ryan, Brandon, and Mon all sort of gave us advice on how we might tackle a problem that we were having, and just reaching out to the community at large. This type of, I don't think it's something that Engaging Networks talks about. It's just a really wonderful community of people that, I don't know, are just very passionate about the product, and I just feel like we all kind of learn from each other. And so I would have asked for help a little bit sooner and learn from each other. And I'm going to share everything that I've learned like this.
Teamwork.
So, yes, exactly.
Love it. Now that you're live, what's next?
V2, V3.
Raising money.
I like your answer better.
No, I mean, we already have a list of things. Like I said, I think that, you're never going to get it all done in one shot. And our timeline was, exactly 12 weeks. We started May 1st, and we had to launch by Labor Day. So we didn't have much wiggle room, and I think if you can build in an extra 3 to 4 weeks, do it. You know, if you do it and you launch early, great. You know, but having a little bit of extra time would have been nice. But that was just kind of the way things fell with getting the contract signed, and we had to get it done before our fiscal year end campaign is on right now. So we had to get it done before this campaign launched on the 7th. In terms of what's next, I mean, just make the wish list, right, as you go, of what you're probably not going to get to in this round, this first round, whatever it is, and just keep your wish list of what you would like to do going forward, and work with your partner to look at what's easy, what's quick, what you could build in maybe between campaigns, between our fiscal year end and our calendar year end campaign. Maybe we could do a couple of things to enhance things. What's going to be a bigger project? Multi-step donation form, or Fresh Eyes tells me every month we should start a sustainer program for our 11 sustainers.
Yeah, but then you'll get more sustainers.
Okay. But there's more infrastructure that needs to go along with something like that. So okay, let's do that after the calendar year end, when we have some time and some breathing room to get not only the work done on the product side, but in some cases, especially like something like that, you need to make sure your gift processing department and some other things are kind of set up and ready to go with those kinds of things. So we have a whole list of things that we want to improve. Small improvements, new blocks, or kind of updates to things versus building a multi-step donation form and A/B testing that.
Yeah, for sure. And I know I speak for Kat and myself in saying that your account success managers definitely like to work on making sure that any wish list items you have get accomplished in specific timeframes. So definitely keep us looped into that too. And speaking of performance changes, I know it's still early, and there's no doubt that the templates and page look better. Are you seeing any notable differences yet in performance?
What do you mean by performance?
Are they raising more money?
We'll see.
Okay.
It's pretty early.
I'm going to be honest, I have been here, so I have not been able to do a year-over-year analysis of the fiscal year-end email one, but I know it raised a good chunk of money.
We'll take a look. I mean, our fiscal year campaign started on the 7th, and it's going to run until about the end of the month. And I think one thing that just that checkbox of the 3% fees, for instance, that's that could be one. That's kind of one sign that I'm already seeing. Like, it seems like things seem a little bit higher, but we have to wait at least until the end of September before we can compare year over year, especially campaign over campaign, and we'll see.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's less, do we get a discount for the year two?
You can talk to your account success manager.
Okay.
Hey, Kat!
Great. And so for folks who haven't switched over to the new marketing tools yet, can you estimate like the time investment required to do that?
I think it depends on what you already have set up. I think if you already have like a battle-tested template, I can't give you a range, but I don't have a good answer for that. Mine took a long time, but there was a learning
Shorter
curve
with
with it.
you, maybe, with your help?
Well, I've done it once now, so.
I think we could also say, like, as Thelma was saying, when you're switching systems, so, if you're switching from Luminate to Engaging Networks, that's such a great opportunity to think through what your email templates are. And so there's going to be extra time in saying, hey, we actually want our email templates to include these 7 different types of blocks that we haven't used before. There's going to be time in there to conceptualize them. Then once you're in Engaging Networks, if you're doing, hey, we want a plain text block and a button and an image, those are 3 blocks, versus we also want a block that combines all of those things, that has plain text and an image and has a button. When there's more complexity in a block, there's going to be more scaling issues. Outlook is our best friend as always. Sometimes that can cause some issues. So when you have more elements in a block, it costs more time. That being said, reach out at sayhi@fresheyesdigital.com, and we would love to give you an estimate.
Shameless.
Listen.
It's probably a great place to wrap it up. So congrats, guys.
Thanks.
Thank y'all.